What's up, guys? So today I want to go over one of my favorite row variants, and that is the seated naval assisted cable row. Now, the reason I didn't say chest assisted is because I specifically have this set up so this part here stops at our navel, because when we're performing exercise, the more compression we have in the chest, the harder it is for our lungs to expand, the harder it is to breathe, right? So if you've used a chest assisted row machine, pretend I actually have weight on this. As I go forward, that pressure that's pulling me forward is pushing my chest into this bed. As I pull back, the pressure is pushing into the chest at the same time. So I'm stretching here, which is pushing my chest in, and then when I go to pull, it's going like this, which is squishing my chest into this pad, which is restricting my lungs from expanding, right? Have you ever worn a belt? When you put your belt on, when you do your lift, it restricts your breathing. So anything from basically your navel all the way up to the top of your chest, pressure is going to restrict your breathing. And anytime you're doing a movement, the more oxygen, the better. Obviously, to be able to get the movement done at an efficient rate, but also because when you're performing a movement, the cues that you're trying to remember, the subconscious things like keeping your chest up or making sure when you go forward, you don't overstretch in a position where you're starting to bring other muscles in if you're not trying to do that. Those things that you would normally do subconsciously, on top of the cues of like internal external rotation, they're not going to come as prominent because of the fact that your brain doesn't have enough oxygen to be able to keep up with the demand of what you're trying to do. It might be able to keep with the exercise like getting from point A to point B, but the small little cues that make big differences, it's not going to be as efficient. So the movement itself will not be as efficient if you don't have enough oxygen. Now, I'm not saying that doing chest assisted machines are wrong at all. I just found that this variant worked better in terms of quality of the movement. Now, if you're using a chest assisted machine, what you can do is bring it up as high as possible. And you'll see here, it's below my chest, and it's basically at my sternum, but still, when I put some weight on here with the movement, I'm going to have restriction of breathing. The reason I know is I've done it a million times, and every chest assisted machine that I've used, by the time I'm done, I might have good contraction with my lats, but I still feel winded, right? Here, I never feel winded. And the reason is because once I'm in this position, I can chest will rise and my belly will rise. I'll have both areas being able to breathe the entire time without that restriction. So how do we perform the movement? Well, first, I want to go over why I'm using the prime bar with the rope handles. So the prime bar I really like because of the fact that I can go wider to work the inner portions part of my back, like my traps and rhomboids, or I can go closer to work my lats. So here, I kind of have it at a more of a neutral point, but a little bit closer than farther out. The other reason is because I'm a huge fan of handles because of the fact that the grips are on them. The prime handles are awesome, but they just don't give you that option to put the grips around. Another thing specifically with the rope handles is the diameter of the handle itself is a little bit skinnier, so it's easier to get a versa grip around and locked in tight. Also, the actual gnarling of it and material of it is steel, so it hooks in really well with versa grips. But what I mean by it being narrow is I can get really far in there and basically not even have my thumbs on it because that's how deep the versa grip is. So just a little food for thought. You can use this. I've done this with mag bars, with straight bars, but I'm a huge fan of this here. Another reason too, as you just saw me do internal external rotation, there's freedom in my wrist. So anatomically, if you're tight in one area or the other, for supination, pronation here, you have a little more leeway. All right, so what I'll do is stand up, arms long, no bend my elbows. I'm gonna take the weight, walk back with it, sit down, got 1 foot forward, another foot forward, so I get my position nice and tight, bring both feet back. Now from here, if I sit in this position here, when I go to row, I have leverage because I'm seated back, and it's mimicking more of a shrug, so I get more traps. I like to do this movement for my lats. So if this is 90-degree angle here, what I'm going to do is sit back a little bit farther and lean forward a little bit here. Now when I do this movement, I'm going to be using minimal trap because I'm not leaning back, I'm leaning forward. So from here, this is my full stretch of my lats. Now, if I want to just movement for my traps and rhomboids, then I would stretch and get my traps and rhomboids involved. But I'm using this for my lats. So this is a full stretch of my lats. So what I'm going to do is make a mental note of where this bar is in my vision looking forward. And to me, my full stretch here is in between those two foot plates, where that metal bar in the middle is. That's where this is right now. So I know when I go forward, I want to hit that point every time I go into my stretch. Now when I go into contraction, what I'm going to do is pretend I have strings attached to my elbows, and I'm not going to rock my body. My body's going to be completely still. Strings attached to my elbows, I'm going to row back. And then as I go back, where I go back, I'm going to make a mental note again when I stop of where that bar is. And for me, it's about 3 inches past the bottom line when I look down. So I'm going to go forward, stretch, again, this is my lats, find that point, pause, back in, find another point, squeeze, right back out. And again, you have freedom here, internal, external rotation. If you go in and you want to internally rotate or externally rotate, whatever feels better for you, that's fine. There's no right or wrong. Here, back in, squeeze, control going forward. Now, again, let's say I want to do this for my traps and my rhomboids. I will go forward, extend out, recruit my traps and rhomboids, and then when I pull in, I'm not going to use any leverage. Again, strings attached to my elbows. Here. So my body stays the exact same. The only difference is I'm going to get my traps and my rhomboids involved by stretching over, and then when I pull back, stay in that position. I'm not going like this when I pull, because that's taking leverage and momentum and making it so the muscles I'm trying to work aren't prime movers anymore. So again, traps and rhomboids, that's what I'm doing it for. Stretch, back in. If I want to work my lats, stretch, back in. When I'm done, let these hang all the way, arms straight. I'm going to push back from my heels, step up, and just walk forward.